case I don't see ya. Good afternoon, good evening, good night.
Get the hell out of here. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Fanzone Debate. We have a very exciting match for you this evening. I'm really looking forward to this one. We're finally here. We're finally at the end of this long tournament we've been in to get to where we are today. Kaleb Boatman versus Kaleb Koho. Once brothers, now enemies, coming head-to-head in the debate ring. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. Cody's on the desk with me today. Cody, what do you think of the match, and how the fuck are you?
I'm fine. I thought debate was canceled. I thought we were done with this, but apparently it keeps going. Yeah. About the competitors, I mean, I'm pretty proud of Boatman. That triple threat to start the season where he was able to defeat pretty much Wonder Boy Johnson and Fast Ricky, to get there. Koho just didn't play anybody, actually. He got granted the number one contender shot because I'm pretty sure he's like in cahoots with who runs this organization now. Because it's clearly not us, because I would never give him Koho just a guaranteed shot. Maybe he took back over for himself and started granting himself title shots, like the good old days, But yeah, this should be a fun time. This should be an interesting time. I want this to be over fast. So let's go.
All right. We also have Nick Twig here, who is the sports champion. Nick, welcome. What do you think of the matchup today?
Should be good. You didn't ask how I'm doing, but I'll tell you. I'm a little tired. It rained lava again today, as it often does in this universe. Real bits of a time. As I said, I'm pretty tired. Just, hoping this goes by fast. I've written this on my board, and I'm just going to make adjustments. Pretty low effort today, but should be a good one.
All right. The best thing I've ever seen.
That's fucking great. Okay, so we're gonna bring in our higher seated, higher ranked competitor first, Mr. Kaleb Boatman. Kaleb, like Cody said, you fought a lot of matches, hard matches to get here. Your last name also alphabetically comes before Koho, so that also played a little bit into it. How are you feeling about being here at the finals of the tournament, playing your once brother, now enemy?
Well, I mean, I kind of consider it a little disrespectful of you after recent events to not refer to me as Sir or Duke after being knighted, but, I'll give you a pass for that. But if you do it again, I will send the Royal Guard after you. Parliament will be hearing about this, though.
Yes, sir. Okay, let's bring in Mr. Koho. Koho, you are the lower-seeded, lower-ranked player here today, but that does not mean that you didn't deserve it. You didn't deserve to be here, like Cody said. You didn't play a ton of matches to get here, but you did send me that really nice Christmas card and that box of cookies, so I felt obliged to return the favor. So, Koho, how are you feeling about the matchup today?
Not very good, Tim, because I'll tell you why. I invited Kaleb Boatman to my house before this tournament started to talk about this tournament and how we might win this tournament if we partnered together and worked together and talked through strategy. And he was like, sure, fine, well, good, left my home. And then I went to go on my Wi-Fi and he changed my password to Moonlight Sucks 2016. He knows that's my favorite movie, Tim. He did that on purpose, and that is I can't let that stand. So the gauntlet is thrown. The gauntlet has been thrown.
Before we get any further, I do want to make sure that no matter what happens to you two, will still be teammates in Fanzone teams, correct?
I don't know. We'll see. This might depend. It depends if he wins.
Do I still get to stab people with a fork in the challenge portion?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, then yeah, I'll take it.
Okay.
Then I need him.
we are going to get right into the first question here. As how the game works. The players drafted categories, both in the worlds of Fandom and in Warzone. Then me and Cody came up with the questions for the match. The players have 1 minute to open their arguments based on the questions, and then a 5-minute free form to debate. Cody is making me laugh, so we're just going to take him right out of there. Then there is going to be a 1 minute closing for each competitor. The first player to 3 points is the winner. Are there any questions from the competitors?
After the recent events regarding Paris Hilton, is this match technically under maritime law?
Yes.
Okay, I will get a bagel.
All right. Let's fight.
Asshole! That's my bad. I was sending a tweet.
All right, guys, your first category is going to be in the category of Pixar. This was drafted by Mr. Koho, and your question is, since Joy was brutally murdered at the end of Inside Out 5, who should take over the panel now that Joy is gone? So, Koho, you drafted this category. You get to go first. Mm-hmm. You have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking.
So Laziness was the MVP of Inside Out 4, right? Okay, so they went through I'm sure everyone has seen Inside Outs 2, 3, and 4, and obviously 5 at this point. I'm going to assume so. I'm going to take spoilers away. But we know that Laziness is the reason why Sadness was able to overcome the clinical depression mountain that they fought on the 15th island in Riley's Islands of Personality. So I'm just saying Laziness got her through the college period. I think he clearly deserves to take over the board because let's face it, fear is a pussy, disgust is dead, anger, he's going to blow up a country. Like, the Laziness is going to be the most level-headed one, especially with Joy gone. I mean, it was Sadness's fault, really. So, like, honestly, she's not taking over. So, Laziness should take over in Inside Out 6.
All right, sparing about 5 seconds. We will move over to Mr. Boatman. You now have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking.
Okay, I'm going to take a character that we haven't seen since Inside Out 3. I'm going with Constipation, voiced by Paul Giamatti. Constipation was, as we all know, he was the villain of Inside Out 2. But then they completely, redeemed his character through the movie, and I think it was easily the best part of Inside Out 3. And as he kind of became this, rogue rebel, right? Kind of in between, really looking at what even is the function of this mind and why are the characters so autonomous? And I think bringing him back to lead the charge and almost give him a full 360. He of course wasn't in Inside Out 4 because Paul Giamatti had scheduling conflicts as playing Captain America. But I think absolutely now that he's done with that, I think Constipation will be the best character of Inside Out 6. I'm excited, or Inside Out 5. I'm excited.
All right. So, Laziness versus Constipation. You guys have 5 minutes freeform when one of you starts talking.
Inside Out 5 is where Joy died, Boatman. I think you're mixing up which movie did what. But
right.
But Paul Giamatti as Constipation is so untrustworthy because he already tried to kill the group once. How are you going to put him in control of the board? That's impossible. At least Sam Rockwell's Laziness is at least trustworthy and likable, and you can understand where he's coming from in every single decision he makes, and he's the most dependable, especially for Riley right now.
Okay, are we going to ignore the fact that in Inside Out 5, Laziness just straight up said that homeless people shouldn't be allowed to live? I think that is a major problem, and I think that's why he shouldn't be a main character in Inside Out 6. I put him a side character so we can have that redemption arc, sure, But we already got a redemptive arc for Constipation. Constipation is going to be the best thing to ever happen to Riley. Because especially if she's hitting her 30s in this film, I think that ultimately Constipation, it goes hand in hand with getting to middle age. But yeah.
Okay, but hold on, Weather Boy. You got your chance to talk. Constipation here. Okay, you keep bringing up the Constipation had a redemptive arc that didn't end. It was supposed to end in 4, but then Constipation wasn't in the movie, and he was barely in 5. So you have to finish the redemptive arc in order to make him the leader, which would take a whole nother movie to do to finish it. There's a very key
way to finish the arc,
but it's not. It's not. There's a very key.
Succeed.
There's a very key part of the redemptive arc they have not addressed, and that is Constipation is the reason why Disgust is gone. It's Constipation's fault. So we can't do that without addressing it, and the team can't trust him as a leader if he knows he's going to take key members of the group out. At least Laziness is trusted by the rest of the group. Is he problematic? Yes. But at the end of the day, he's the most trustworthy member of the group that can actually handle the leadership position.
Okay, Constipation did what he needed to do with Disgust, because ultimately Disgust is the one that got Riley that tattoo that says, "Hi, Mom, I killed a rat in 2005." Which made no sense, because Riley
that wasn't that. Hold on. I need to clarify. That was not Disgust's fault. That was Fear's fault, and neither of us are going to argue for Bill Hader's fear here. Okay,
I'm not saying okay, but we can't fear. It was his fear of being constipated. We have established that.
Okay, you're right, but like semantics. I challenge you on semantics.
Fair, but I think ultimately Constipation is the character that is the correct to actually lead this charge, because he will get that he's almost there on that redemptive arc. That's what's going to bring him there, making him that leader, going full circle. Laziness just, I think, isn't quite what is his actual purpose with this. I feel like Riley's gotten over her laziness. We've really dealt with him enough. I don't think we need him to be the leader. If we want to have him as a side character, again, cool, but actually having Laziness lead, I don't think works. I think Constipation is the way to go. And to not go.
Okay, but the issue with, I keep bringing this up because it's the real reason he can't be trusted. He's killed a member of the team. Like, and you're gonna say it was her?
That was Fear's fault.
No, it was Fear's fault that she got the tattoo. It was Constipation's fault that Disgust got killed. That's what we're arguing. You're messing up plot points between the movies. I get it. It's a convoluted mythology, but you got to keep track of this stuff, okay? The reason why Laziness is more willing to take the mantle is because I get it. It's an unlikely choice. The unconventional unlikely choice is probably the best choice. Yours is one that fans will see coming because it's Paul Giamatti. He's like a $1 billion blockbuster name. But Sam Rockwell is now a 6-time Academy Award winner who's been building up his cred. You put him in the Laziness role, it brought legitimacy to the role and to the entire franchise after it jumped off the cliff at 3, and now you bring him back and give him that unconventional leadership position. It makes sense from a box office standpoint and from a story standpoint.
I feel like you are punishing Paul Giamatti. You've been doing it ever since he did the Jeff Bezos biopic, which, like, that's a whole other thing. But ultimately, I think Constipation is that character that you say fans are expecting it. I don't care if fans are expecting it. That fans are expecting it because that makes sense. Constipation is the character they've built up, and even though he was only in 5 a little bit, that's why they were bringing him back. I think that's what they're going to do, and that's because that's what they should do. People at Pixar are very smart. I think that's ultimately the way to go.
Okay, that was weird. So Boatman, you get to close first. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
I'm going to sum up my argument by giving you what I think is the best monologue in an Inside Out movie, which comes from that great scene in Inside Out 5. And it is delivered by Constipation, right? And it's like, it doesn't matter if we can't go anywhere. Doesn't matter if things are tough and rough and lumpy. You just keep on. You keep on persevering. You keep on moving. That is what you do. That is what life is. And I think that sums up the Inside Out franchise to a T. And I think that showcases why Constipation should be the leader. That gives us everything. Constipation.
Okay. Ending about 6 seconds early. We will now bring in Koho. You have 1 minute to close when you start talking.
Look, he mentioned the worst scene in Inside Out 5 as if it were the best. It's the most laugh-worthy piece, and it comes from Constipation for a reason. It was supposed to be a nice moment. It totally backfired. The fans didn't love it, and now going in Inside Out 6, they're expecting us to get that like weird, jarring end of the redemptive arc, and then maybe for him to be a leader. I get it. Paul Giamatti's a big name, but Sam Rockwell is a talented actor who has been giving life to the comedic relief for the last 3 movies, and he's the most liked character. It makes sense to put him in the lead role. I get it. He's a bit of a controversial character, but at least his character didn't kill one of the major original 5, okay? And I get it. We can't give it to fear. We can't give it to anger. There's no way sadness is taking it. I just think if we're going between constipation and laziness, it's very clearly supposed to go to laziness. More, he deserves it. He's been putting in the work for the last several movies. He hasn't done anything necessarily to drive a wedge story-wise between himself and the rest of the group, and he's been there for all the movies since 2. I think it makes sense for him to take the lead role. I just think Constipation doesn't make sense for this lead role anymore.
Time. All right. So we'll bring in the judges. All right. All right. Are we ready to go, judges? I'm going to give the point to Koho. I thought Koho did a good job of tearing down Constipation and why it's really hurtful. And I thought that he did a good job of just... Sorry, I had to make the joke there. That's what the movies do. We got to do it here. I just think that he did a great job of tearing down why maybe a redemptive arc is okay for Constipation, but overall, the leader position maybe not. So yeah, Cody.
Yeah, Boatman did really well with him trying to sell me on Constipation, but took some stool softener, and Koho was able to pull it out. It just worked right through, and relief was brought to this fight, and I think Koho was able to bring it. And I think Sam Rockwell, with just what his experience was, he's the perfect person. And it's hard to get a team behind you after you kill off a character in the 3rd one. So that was a bold choice, but it just didn't work.
Nick, your point doesn't count, but where would you have gone and why?
So I actually thought I was on Koho's side for much of it because I was into the whole like, oh, he just killed someone. Like there's not enough time to do this arc. But then he sort of contradicted himself when he was like, the fans are expecting it. It's too obvious. I was like, well, you just said it wasn't obvious before, so that's why I went with Kaleb.
Nice. All right, so we will be giving Koho the point, but we do move on to the next question, which is a category that Boatman drafted. Mm-hmm. This is in the category of action adventure.
My favorite category.
You fiend. You know it's my kryptonite.
So the question is, with the announcement of the Golden Girls franchise coming to an end, what was the best action scene from the franchise? So, Boatman, you get to go first. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
Okay, so I am going with the scene from the Golden Girls 2, the fantastic Dorothy versus Rose fight, B. Arthur versus Betty White, when both of them are ultimately on different sides of the Gulf conflict in Afghanistan, and both have different conflicting opinions on it. And they ultimately, that leads them to different sides of the CIA operations on it. And that we get that awesome hand-to-hand combat scene. 1992's The Golden Girls 2, even more golden. I think that this is easily the best scene in the movie because it's incredible action going in the elevator through basically every floor of the plaza, but also it has the dramatic weight being the conflict of the movie and them having their conversation while they are fighting.
Time. All right. Koho, we will move on to you for your opening 1 minute when you start talking.
the Golden Girls franchise jumped a shark in about the early 2000s. They kind of got way too big, and so they decided to scale it back and do some more interpersonal action, close quarters stuff. And I think that's where the franchise has some of its best fights. In Golden Girls Go to High School, The Bronze Years, it was a fantastic film. You had younger versions of the characters so they could do their own stunts. It was great. Halle Berry playing a young Bette Midler was really fantastic. She did a great job of going just fisticuffs. It was a fantastic film. Great fight. She fought Kate Blanchett, and it was great. They're bouncing off lockers and sliding over the lunchroom tables. It's one of the best action. She throws her through one of the pillars. It's a great action sequence with an entire room of high school kids in cafeteria just cheering them on. Fantastic action sequence directed by James Nantucket. It's a great fight.
All right. So the Bronze Years versus More Golden. You guys have 5 minutes when one of you starts talking.
I can't believe you picked the movie with the Dennis Rodman cameo. And the scene
He's great.
Rodman cameo where he just pops out of the locker and says, "Hi, I'm Dennis Rodman, everybody. You know me as the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers." Like, what? It's some of the worst exposition you will ever hear. "Hello, yes, I am Golden Girl" is an actual line from that scene.
Hold on. This isn't about the best written scene. I'm sorry that mine didn't win Oscar for screenplay. We're talking about the best action scene. Mine had the best action choreography with people getting chucked through pillars. Yours is just some vague RPG gunplay while they make jokes about Vietnam. It's awkward and uncomfortable.
Has nothing. Yes, they make a joke about Vietnam, but that has nothing to do with the actual action scene. If you're going to say my stuff doesn't have to do with the actual scene, what about when they go into the pool and there's that entire minute where it's underwater, the first underwater gravity effects ever used in movies?
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, and you just said in mine.
No, this is mine. I'm talking about mine.
Okay, well, they did it better. They did that scene as an homage in mine, and it was better in mine. Look, at the end of the day, Jerome Nantucket's the best action director working, and this was his second movie, and he proved why he directed the next 30 Batman movies, okay? He did a great job with this first film, and the actors that are in it did a great job of embodying their parts while doing great action. I'm just saying they've done...
discounting everything that happens in James Cameron's Even More Golden. Like,
Even More Golden is like the 8th best version of that they did better in the sequels and did better in mine.
They didn't do it better. Literally, all the conversations, it is like a debate being played out through action. That, well, they are also having a legitimate philosophical conversation while also kind of trying to kill each other.
I'm sorry.
Discounting everything that happened in your movie. You picked the most childish, like, oh yeah, let's fan service to the new kids because we don't actually care about this franchise. What is happening?
Because that franchise entry had the best physical fight choreography through the entire thing, and that scene is the best scene in it. You're discounting the entire question itself of what is the best action scene in the franchise. And the best action scene in the entire franchise is the crown jewel of my film with the giant cafeteria all-out brawl. Your entire scene is the first time something is done. And you literally have used this argument the entire tournament. That first does not mean best. And now you're arguing that fight because it's convenient for you.
First, I'm saying it is the first, but that doesn't mean best. It's best because you get the 360 flip where Betty White jumps up onto the ceiling.
And she can barely do it in the second one.
Spider-Man powers that Betty White actually has.
She can barely...
And bringing B. Arthur's face up and then pounding it through the wall. You're telling me that's on one of the best scenes in cinema.
It's not, because Betty White is barely on the... Betty White is barely on the cables. They did a bad job of CGIing them out. She could barely do it. It's the second movie. That shows you that. That's why they recast her for the 5th movie. But she could barely do it in the second. That's why that action scene has been done better in subsequent films of the franchise, and they did an homage to it in my cafeteria scene better.
The problem is your scene has characters that are horribly written. You might be saying, oh, the writing doesn't matter, right?
But ultimately,
I don't care what's happening. It is just people running into each other in your movie because they don't make it feel like the actual Golden Girls. They are lifeless puppets pretending to be our Golden Girls. Thank you for being a friend to the real Golden Girls and not these puppets.
You keep saying like, oh, it was like a physicalized version of a debate. That's dumb. I'm sorry, that is dumb. That is, stop reading Aaron Siskel's reviews on Blogspot, okay? Come up with your own independent, intelligent thought for once. Your arguments...
I own a quarter of Blogspot.
Listen,
that's why I have this mansion.
All your arguments about this film have been said before and have been disproven in every fight we've ever had about the Golden Girls, because you keep arguing that the first time they do this is the best, but they've done the flipping 360.
The last 3 fights.
They've done the 360. I'm talking about other fights. I'm talking about the 360 flip kick trick that they introduced in yours was done better in 3, in 4, in 7, in Goes to High School Part 3, and the homage in Goes to High School 1 is the best time they ever employed it within my giant cafeteria action, because the lunch lady ripped someone's throat out, Boatman.
Yeah, but you don't have the real Golden Girls doing it.
All right. Koho, you get to close first. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
At the end of the day, we're arguing best action scene, and mine takes all the best things from the franchise, puts it in this one awesome cafeteria fight with all these great young versions of these characters, fighting it out with his 360 wall kick, the Spider-Man stuff, the great gunplay action, all the stuff that he just said is done better in mine as a giant homage of where they learned it. It's a great giant brawl action fight with all these characters. And he can say it's not our Golden Girls, but then why would they make it if it's not our Golden Girls? It's the same characters. That's why they're young. Okay. It's a fantastic action set piece from Jerome Nantucket. It's a great staging. Literally the lunch lady rips someone's throat out and the janitor impales someone on a mop. You can't tell me that's not the coolest action set piece you've ever seen in the Golden Girls. He's talking about doing a flip and they're like kicking each other while talking about existential crises of love and war. That's boring, man. I'm here to see someone get just absolutely stabbed by a mop. Okay, that's what I'm here for. Okay, the mops and the shingles, bro.
All right, Boatman, you have 1 minute to close when you start talking.
Koho is acting like we have to choose between the extreme violence we know from the Golden Girls franchise and the existentialism that those first 3 films were great at doing. No, we can't have both. My scene literally opens with Estelle Getty's head being decapitated with an elevator. That's not even special effects. They actually did that to the real Estelle Getty. She died. She died for that scene, and you are disrespecting her memory right now. How dare you? Ultimately, I think that Koho just admitted that everything his scene does, my scene already did. There is nothing original about his scene. My scene is original. It's impactful. It has some of the best action, and ultimately it has the philosophy that the Golden Girls franchise is best known for. Everything in Goes to High School is some of the weakest stuff, and his action scene is just a rip-off of mine. He's admitted it.
Time. All right. Bring in the judges.
Estelle Getty was a really bad call. That's messed up, man.
That's messed up, man. That's not tasteful.
All right, Nick, you get to go first because your vote didn't count last time.
So I've never seen these. I know they're in Fandom, but I'm defending my belt, so I had to watch the badminton finals. When I was living in LA, I actually met Betty White, and she might seem nice, but she actually does that Spider-Man thing all the time. Like I was talking to her friend, and we were at a club, and Betty was like, "Oh, look at me, she's on the ceiling." And I was talking to her friend. I was like, "Does this happen a lot?" And her friend was like, "Yeah, you just gotta let her do her thing." That being said, I thought Kaleb painted a better picture, so I'm giving my point to Koho.
I can't wait to break down. I can't.
Okay. I will.
Would you like me to go first?
I'm going with Boatman. I thought Boatman's closing was really strong, where he basically said, like, Koho admitted it, like, everything that was great about Koho's scene was done in Boatman's scene and in earlier films. So, yeah, I give it to Boatman. Cody, it's up to you.
I think it was a really bold choice for Koho to pull the ones without the cast, because I think that's arguably the worst one by far. Halle Berry has been known to be terrible on sets and everything, and kick people out of their dressing room, and was quite a bitch to Betty White, is what I hear. When she's rehearsing for the role. Boatman did really good. I think the Dennis Rodman thing didn't matter. I think at the end of the day, the whole overall movie plays into it, and that cameo is one of the worst things that's ever been said in film history. So, but I really would like to see Betty White do the Spider-Man thing in person. But Nick's the only one.
I guess, yeah.
Mops and shingles.
All right, so it is tied 1-1 as we get into the next category. This category was also drafted by Mr. Boatman. It's in the category of Planet of the Apes. The question is, who should direct the newly announced Planet of the Apes Star Trek crossover film entitled Monkeys on the Ship? So, Boatman, you get to go first on this one. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
Okay, I'm going to, you know what? Why not? Let's just take the last director who directed the critically lauded Oscar Best Picture winning My Dinner with Ape Dre, and ultimately just have him do it again. He's shown that he can do the action, but he's also shown he can bring the drama that ultimately I think we need for a Planet of the Apes Star Trek crossover, because ultimately we all know that the Star Trek franchise has been on the fritz ever since they decided to ultimately kill off Kirk, Spock, all the main characters we love, and just make it the Wesley Crusher show. I think ultimately Damien Chazelle can take the Planet of the Apes franchise and weave it into the Star Trek universe, while also bringing back the Star Trek that we know and love, instead of making it Wesley Crusher making out with green alien women every day.
All right. Damien Chazelle. We're going to move over to Koho. Koho, you now have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking.
Look, man, I don't need to see these auteur smart-ass filmmakers come in and make my Star Trek 8 movies, okay? I don't need it. The two franchises are both in this place where they need something new, but they need new kind of action that can blend the two styles. So I'm going to go with this guy who's done horror movies, very small-budget horror movies that have been really well-received, including that one movie, the one with the Saw one. I don't remember what it's called. Maybe it's just called Saw. I don't really remember. I don't watch horror. But what I'm saying is he's done a really good job. And then he made a low-budget action sci-fi movie, and it was really, really good. That's the one I know. And I think Michael Bay would be a brilliant choice to come on in. He's literally so hot on the scene right now with all of his lower-budget action. He made a mid-budget action thriller last year called Escape, and it made lots of money, and people are looking at him. I think he's a huge Apes fan. He watched Star Trek ever since he was 10. I think he knows both franchises very well. Give it
time. All right. Damien Chazelle versus Michael Bay for Monkeys on the Ship. Gentlemen, 5 minutes when one of you starts talking.
You're saying you don't want the pretentious, but you're getting an indie filmmaker who did Escape, which is a movie which literally ends with a 20-minute monologue about recycling and how you need to stop recycling or your recycling is going to come to life and eat you. I know, because that happened to my dad.
Okay, what I'm saying is the monologue is delivered during a giant one-take action sequence. The guy knows how to do action extremely well. Your guy has never touched an act. The most action he's directed is a guy walking from one side of his kitchen to the other.
I literally just said earlier that he had directed the action scenes in My Dinner with Ape Dre.
My Dinner with Ape Dre has 2 action scenes, and there's 2 guys having a fist fight and a brawl, in the parking lot of a bar.
And they're the best action scenes in the franchise.
Your definition of an action scene is
argued that one of them, the one inside the helicopter, was the best Planet of the Apes fight, if I recall.
I did not just argue that. What I just said is
in the last match,
you just argued. You're talking. I need my yellow flag. Listen, what I'm saying is I want someone who knows how to do action. Your guy has only attempted action once with 2 small set pieces. Your definition.
I'm sorry to cut it. I'm sorry, Koho. Were you looking to challenge that?
I'm really annoyed that he keeps talking over me and just brought up an incorrect fact about my semifinal match. I'm really annoyed about that.
We're going to take one quick second to discuss the challenge. We'll be right back after the challenge. All right, we're back from the challenge. We've decided to take 20 seconds off of Kaleb Boatman's closing argument. He did infringe on Koho's time there. We will continue now where we were. Koho, you may continue.
Thank you. What I was trying to say is your action director, your big idea of action is having an ape poke a human in the eyes, okay? But the Planet of the Apes franchise has had big moments of action, and they've gone really small. And the Star Trek franchise's biggest moments of action have all been space fights, and they need something new to merge the two. And Michael Bay is a guy, he's made indies. That doesn't make him pretentious. He's done indie action. Your guy has barely touched a camera about guys talking in a kitchen, okay? So when we're talking about directors, we're going to talk about Michael Bay, who can do action. He's done great choreography. He's literally Escape is set in space. He knows how to handle the space setting, which works for Star Trek, and he's handled characters that are of alien origin, which also works for Planet of the Apes because they're not human. Put them together. Plus the monologue matches the two tones.
Monkeys on a Ship is going to end with a long political tirade against our current president, Adam Scott. I'm sorry.
I guess, okay.
Some of you just don't like Adam Scott, and that's fine, but you all need to own up to it and stop being pathetic and just finding anything wrong with it.
Listen, that's not on Michael Bay or the movie. Michael Bay is able to do great character-driven monologues like that. You can put whatever you want on it, Boatman, whatever you want to assign to it. But at the end of the day, he has a point to his movies, and he's able to do it within entertaining action.
Literally, which had nothing to do with anything in the present, ended with a montage of Adam Scott that just said, "This guy is horrible. This guy is horrible." What are you talking about? That is on Michael Bay.
That's his first film, and it was 46 minutes long. It was seen by 3 people. And look, we found one of the 3. Good for you. We're talking about what he did last year, a sci-fi action movie that shows tones of doing Star Trek and Apes. Let him do it. I don't care if it ends with some character-driven monologue that is done over a one-take action sequence. I would love to watch his style of action. Listen, you're forgetting the part that he's watched Star Trek since he was 10 years old. He understands his characters inside and out, what makes them good. And his action is perfect for the Apes franchise. So blend the two. I think he's a perfect fit. Chazelle has never touched a camera outside of filming his one-take conversation in the kitchen movie, okay?
I really wish what happened 10 years ago didn't matter to you when you testified against me on my bank robbery trial. Ultimately, Damien Chazelle is going to give the Star Trek franchise absolutely what it needs, which is that shot of adrenaline. He loves the original show. He's going to bring back all the characters we love, especially Skippy from Star Trek Part 9. Don't go skipping on my heart lunchbox. Ultimately,
the worst one. Good for you. You're going to pick the most reviled character in the franchise.
1 minute.
You tell me you don't love Skippy's catchphrase?
Bro, you are the only person in the world that had the... You're the only person who had the Skippy lunchbox. It was canceled for a reason. It's the reason why it torpedoed the franchise. That's not the argument.
Everybody loves the Skippy lunchbox. It won a Golden Globe for Best Picture.
The argument...
Hamilton 2, don't go ham on me, baby.
The argument here is about the directors, and your director is not qualified to make this movie. He's only made one movie, and it's one guy and an ape having a conversation. Just because it has an ape in it does not make it good for the Star Trek and Apes franchise. My guy's more qualified. He's got a fan.
Director and Best Picture.
That doesn't mean shit for Star Trek. It hasn't made a good movie since 1983.
I completely disagree. I think this is absolutely the existential thing that Star Trek needs. It's the roots of Star Trek. I completely disagree with everything you've said.
Time. All right. Koho, you get to close first. 1 minute when you start talking.
He keeps yelling about this guy's won an Oscar, but who gives a shit about who's won an Oscar when you're making a franchise crossover film about apes who talk and Star Trek ships that blow things up in space? I'm sorry. When we're talking about a franchise like that, you need a guy who understands at least one of them very well. Michael Bay is a huge Star Trek fan. And you need someone who understands action. Damien Chazelle has literally only shot a one-take movie in a kitchen, and yes, he poked some guy's eyes out, and at the end there was something with a helicopter. I'm sorry, that does not warrant a giant big-budget space movie. Michael Bay's Escape is literally a movie set in space where he actually does close quarters combat over one take. Great character stuff. I'm sorry, but Michael Bay is way more qualified to handle this picture crossover. He loves the characters of both franchises. He understands. He has literally made a movie that is fundamentally a Star Trek movie without being a Star Trek movie. Just finally give him the official Star Trek title. I think he would do a great job handling apes and Star Trek put together. He's a great choice. Damien Chazelle is not qualified and not too busy, frankly.
Time. All right, Boatman, you now have 1 minute to close your argument when you start talking.
Ultimately, if you want to give him one of these spin-off movies where like give him a Tribble movie, sure. If you want to let Michael Bay test the waters, that Tribbles 3 was awful, so let him direct Tribbles 4. I'm fine with that. But ultimately giving him Michael Planet of the Apes and Star Trek Apes on a Ship, which is maybe has the potential to be the highest grossing movie of all time. No, you need someone who has at least directed one film in the franchise, either Apes or Trek, and Damien Chazelle has done that. Ultimately, you can say, oh, just the helicopter scene. Who didn't love the helicopter scene in My Dinner with Ape Train? I think it was one of the best action scenes, period. Ultimately, when you get the scene where Caesar literally takes Wallace Shawn by the nutsack, lifts him up, throws him off the roof, and then proceeds to rip the helicopter blade off and stab him in the neck. Greatest action scene of all time.
Oh boy. Okay. We lost Cody somewhere along the way.
He's got to watch that Yankees game.
I couldn't find it after I heard Wallace Shawn nutsack. So,
all right, Cody, you get to
hold
go first.
on.
Oh, Nick, you just reminded me. Oh, okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Owen Koho. I just think there was way too many references and stuff, and not really a defense why he can't direct it. And I think it might be really good. And my least favorite scene of all time in a new film ever is when they grabbed Wallace Shawn by the nutsack. It was just took me straight out of the film.
Especially when it was rated PG. Nick, your vote next.
Yeah, so Willie Wheats and I are actually pretty tight. Quite often. He said he's good friends with Michael Bay. He said Michael Bay would never do anything like this. And while Boatman may have described the scene a little grotesquely, it's actually a very great piece of film. Really well directed and everything. So I went with Boatman. I just wish he had mentioned Chazelle's sequels, Third and Fifth Man, because that really would have made it win by a landslide. But now it's a little closer.
Yeah. All right, so it's up to me. I actually went with Koho. I thought that Koho did a pretty good job of tearing down My Dinner with Ape Dre and was able to talk about how Escape is basically already a Star Trek film. Just give him the thing that he's been able to handle those types of movies better than something like Chazelle. But I thought it was close. Thought it was a close one, but yeah. So
I feel like I'm on Survivor and I'm on the outs.
Oh, you just reminded me. We're hitting a bucket of balls in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so
of all the things to survive multiverses, it's fucking Survivor.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the final question of the prep round. This was drafted by Mr. Koho in the category of drama, and the question is, it's a pitch question.
Okay.
The question is, pitch Manchester by the Sea 2. Koho, you get to give us your pitch for Manchester by the Sea 2 first. You have 1 minute to open when you start talking.
I think, yeah, we're good. Okay. Manchester by the Sea has one very glaring issue. Lucas Hedges is dead. So if we're going to make this sequel, we have to find a way to work around that and bring in Lucas Hedges' son, which we'll find some young upstart actor. It'll be fine. But Lucas Hedges is now the dad who's died. And obviously we can't bring Casey Affleck because, he's no longer in the country. So what we're going to do is we're going to have him go up for adoption, be adopted by Bradley Whitford and Rob Lowe, who are a gay couple up in Manchester. They take him in and are raising him. But they also are living with Bradley Whitford's father, Al Pacino, who's a grumpy war vet. And that brings friction. He doesn't really love his son's life and who he is, and so he imposes a whole different will on that household, while Hedges' son has to then grow up with two different voices in his ear, but also ultimately learns how to love and teaches Al Pacino how to love. It's a big, great film about the next generation of love in the town of Manchester. Michelle Williams is obviously still in the film because you have to have some continuation, and she's going to win another Oscar.
Well, that sounds delightful. Let's move over to Mr. Boatman. Boatman, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
Okay, so my pitch for Manchester by the Sea 2 ultimately involves taking from some outside sources. As we all know, in 2018, the film was adapted into a Tony Award-winning musical by Lin-Manuel Miranda, film ultimately didn't have the same plot as Manchester by the Sea, but was set in the same universe. And ultimately what I want to do is have this film take some of those characters and some of those elements and import them into Manchester by the Sea too. So we would have Lin-Manuel Miranda, Daveed Diggs, of course, Martin Sheen portraying his Broadway-winning role as Casey Affleck's character. We would essentially bring in the multiverse in this film as established in the Broadway show. And I think we make this film a musical that would make it exponentially better.
All right. Also sounds delightful. So 5 minutes of freeform when one of you starts talking.
I'm worried about you getting actors who can actually sing, though. You understand? And none of the Broadway actors...
Have you not heard Martin Sheen sing I'm Still Standing when he did Rocket Man on Broadway?
I'm sorry, but Martin Sheen is 88 years old and in a wheelchair. You're going to put him in the role?
Pills for that.
Listen, all I'm saying is Martin Sheen is not young enough to do this. You can de-age him, it'll look jarring. And everyone else that you can get for this movie from the musical are not famous enough to make this work. And I don't like the direction the musical took at the multiverse. It was a little too out there for me. So I think what's the best way to do is scrap the musical and move on with a sequel that is more true to the spirit of the original. You keep Michelle Williams, but you get the son of Lucas Hedges. You get an all-new all-star cast. Doesn't get Pacino his last Oscar. Michelle Williams can get another Oscar.
No real connection to the movie. You're basically just making a movie. And this is the problem with Hollywood.
It's about his son and Michelle Williams is in it.
Remakes. They did the sequel to Sophie's Choice. They did the sequel to The Imitation Game.
And the Imitation Game sequel won Best Picture.
And remakes and reboots. You are literally just taking
You're pitching a remake yourself.
I'm giving us an actual connection to the film.
So
yours should just be by a different name.
No, it's not. Michelle Williams is in both films playing the same part. It's connected tissue. She's the lead. She's the lead. I'm sorry that she's the lead and you don't support Michelle Williams' career after Pirates of the Caribbean 8, okay? But she's great. She won an Oscar twice now. She deserves a third.
After she ran over that child.
Okay, listen. Michelle Williams is the co-lead with her son, her grandson, with Lucas Hedges' kid, and now Lucas Hedges' kid is in this position. Michelle Williams is not fit to take custody, so she gets adopted, which means he has to get into a new family. And Michelle Williams' relationship to that family, with that already new family dynamic, creates this really beautiful movie about new family. He's dead.
Why would you kill off Casey Affleck?
Because he's living in Romania. He's locked by the FBI.
People living in Romania.
He's on the FBI. He's in the FBI most
Casey Affleck in. We can bring him in for this. We can have a powerful moment between him and Martin Sheen where we literally dissect what is choice, what is the multiverse, what is free will? If
You're
there's
a
another
hypocrite.
Earth that exists within our consequences, do we even have choice? What does this mean for humanity? What does this mean? Are we even real? Is this a simulation right now? Those are the
Okay,
questions
you don't need to quote. You don't need to quote.
musical should be answered.
You don't need to quote the musical number called "What Do You Want, Jeff?" Okay, it was a terrible musical number. The musical did
What
not
do
have
you
any good
want,
songs.
Jeff? Do
Listen.
you want to examine the possibility of
Listen.
the multiverse, or do you want to play
Can
Mario?
I throw another yellow card? Yellow flag. Can I get another challenge on this one, ref?
No, but
Damn.
you have 1 minute.
Okay.
I do have an Uno reverse card to counteract
Listen.
that.
Listen, at the end of the day, you keep pitching this multiversal thing that just doesn't feel true to the original. Even Kenneth Lonergan hates the musical. And you're a total hypocrite for saying you don't want Michelle Williams in because she ran over the kid, but Casey Affleck is a wanted criminal living in Romania to evade the FBI for an assassination. You literally are going, oh, this murderer is okay, but not this one. I am completely okay with both of them being in the movie, but Casey Affleck literally can't get in the country.
I know for a fact that you cheered when Vice President Catherine Tate got shot by Casey Affleck. You cheered when that happened. I was at your villa in Vegas.
I don't have a villa in Vegas. Challenge. That's bullshit. Listen, at the end of the day, in the argument of the fights, Kenneth Lonergan absolutely would have signed off on mine. It's at the heart of what made the first one great. A really emotional family drama about connecting with a new family and an old family. Be a great film. Yours is some weird multiversal bullshit that Lin-Manuel Miranda that hack wrote and can't write a song to save his life.
Time. I'm gonna make that my ringtone.
God damn it.
Mr. Boatman, you get to close first. 1 minute when you start talking.
It's just you. It's just me. It's Manchester by the Sea. What up, world? It's me and you and all the girls. See, that is the Oscar-winning song that will win the Oscar for Manchester by the Sea 2. Ultimately, the Manchester by the Sea song, it won the Tony, it will win the Oscar. I think that ultimately you are discounting the entire canon. You're just making a different movie. Sure, you're putting Michelle Williams' character back in there, but ultimately, what are you doing with Casey Affleck's character? He was the actual focal point. She was the supporting character, and her arc was finished by the movie. I am actually giving us adding more instead of just making a different movie.
Okay. All right. Koho, you now have 1 minute when you start talking.
Making a musical adaptation of Kenneth Lonergan's most hated thing is literally a new movie. Casey Affleck's character has no relation to his own character in the last movie. It has no continuity. I'm just saying it makes no sense to do that and be a hypocrite and say mine doesn't make sense. Michelle Williams gets a totally new arc going forward. She gets to have more to do as a co-lead, dealing with Lucas Hedges' son, who is her grandson, and Casey Affleck is literally gone. He can't be in this movie, so he's dead, which adds another layer of this. He dies right towards the beginning of the movie off camera. How about that? Whatever you got to do to make that work. I think the new family dynamic of finding a new family and people that you don't know while also having an attachment to your old family is a really beautiful idea that's more true to the originals than the last one. I'm sorry you're hung up on Casey Affleck. He literally physically cannot be in the movie. I'm just saying the sequel that I have makes more sense thematically and tonally and has some of the same characters yours, while it has names of the same characters. It's literally about multiverse and chance and has rap music that sucks in it. That makes no sense as a sequel to Manchester by the Sea.
Time. All right. We are going to bring in the judges. All right. I'm going to start on this one. Cody, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
I'm going to go first. I'm going to go with Boatman. I thought Boatman's pitch of the musical taking the stage adaptation to the movie world, I think, worked a lot because the biggest complaint that I had heard after the first one was there wasn't enough happiness and joy and stuff, and so I thought that worked really well. So I'm going to go with Boatman. Nick, we're going to go to you next. Oh, well, he does have Kaleb written. Okay, I'm just going to take that as his vote. Cody, where are you going?
You know, there's a saying that came after the first one. That movie would be less depressing. The kids can still die, but if they sing, life gets better. So I went with Boatman. I think adding songs to hard situations make everybody smile a little bit more. So what's grief when you can sing about it?
That's true. All right.
And I won the last question, so that means I technically own half of Koho's land, right?
No, that was when we had that other league that I don't say the name of anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't want to say the name. Okay, we're going to move on to the bonus round. Here's what's going to happen because we're tied. We're going to go to the bonus question. What's going to happen is, like all of our bonus rounds, I am going to say the names of 4 films. The competitors are then each going to have to pick one of those films as to which is the worst. They are then going to have to argue why their film that they picked is worse than the other film. Do we understand the rules, gentlemen? You've been here before, but I just want to make sure you understand. Okay. The 4 films, and I'm sorry, just for the audience at home, you will have 45 seconds to open, 30 seconds to rebuttal. You can use your time however you want. The 4 films to choose from are La La Land, Inception, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, and 12 Angry Men. So whoever picks a movie first will be going first.
I can do this all day, old man.
Go ahead.
I'll be honest with you, I don't fucking remember what the question was if it was said. So I don't know why I'm picking it. Do we don't know the question?
No, you're picking whatever the worst movie is and arguing why it's worse than the other movie.
Okay.
Do we want to just each pick our favorites?
Sure, go ahead.
12 Angry Men.
Inception.
I knew you were going to do that too. That's absolutely what I wanted. Now it's 2 movies I know.
Good.
All right. So Boatman will be arguing why 12 Angry Men is worse than Inception. Koho will be arguing why Inception is worse than 12 Angry Men. Boatman, you went first. You have 45 seconds to open your argument. I will stay on screen to give you the countdown. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
12 Angry Men is the most boring film I've ever seen. It is literally just in one room the whole time. The characters just talk. There's no action. There's no special effects. It's all in black and white before God invented color. I think that ultimately the film is one of the most boring, painful films I have ever sat through in my life. Inception is a glorious spectacle of a film. It is the type of movie that Jesus would want you to see. It is the movie that is built on ultimate special effects. It has some of the greatest action and philosophy and so many
time before it got older. All right, Koho, you have 45 seconds when you start talking.
I have no idea what he's talking about. That movie literally starts with a courtroom exploding. Inception is literally the most boring movie of all time, except it's a ripoff of every other action movie I've ever seen. That's why it's boring. You literally mentioned Golden Girls, the entire franchise. It cites every inspiration when literally Leonardo DiCaprio does Bette Midler's freaking spin kick into someone's face and then falls over and breaks his ankle. I'm sorry. Every single thing that you see in the entire franchise from every other action movie you love is done in this half-assed. I'm sorry. The visual effects you can tell are on. It's not a rebuttal round. Challenge. Listen, what happens is they're filming it on a blue screen, very obviously blue screen. The visual effects are from 1999. There's nothing in Inception that's special about it. It's a rehash of everything. Yours is inventive with a great young cast.
I will not be awarding Koho the challenge, but Boatman, you do have your second strike. So you do know what that means. Boatman, you have 30 seconds to rebuttal.
Okay, you're bringing all the references to the Golden Girls films when literally in the last time we just talked about it, you literally said that ripping off the Golden Girls but making it better was right for your scene in a Golden Girls sequel, and you won the point for that. Ultimately, my Inception takes everything great about the Golden Girls films and makes them more excellent. 12 Angry Men is one of the most painful films I have ever sat through. Nothing actually happens.
Koho, 30 seconds.
Once again, he says nothing happens, but Al Pacino and Denzel Washington are having a shootout in the last 3 minutes while the courtroom is exploding. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't think he watched the right movie. Freaking John Boyega stabbed someone in the leg during the last 3 minutes. 12 Angry Men is exhilarating. Inception, he says, oh, it's bad if I copy all the action things. It's because it's not done better. I said it worked for Golden Girls because they did it better. They improved. Inception does it worse than the first Golden Girls. Fast and Furious looks better than comparison visual effects-wise to this movie. It falls apart ripping off everything else.
Time. All right. So we'll bring in the judges. I believe whose vote didn't count last time. Well, you know what? We'll start with Nick. Because
did you mean to leave them backstage?
Oh no, we'll bring them in now. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Nick, we're gonna start with you on this one.
Okay.
Are you okay?
No, I'm good. At the end of the day, one of these movies is in color, and the other one's not. I went with Kaleb Boatman.
All right. I'm gonna go next. I went with Koho. I thought that Koho's tear down of Boatman's basically whole rebuttal of like Boatman brought back the Golden Girls thing, but Koho was pretty quick to be like, no, I was saying that was better for it in Golden Girls, but worse for it in this. So I went with Koho. Cody, the match is decided by you.
I believe that both these players were just stuck in hell. Like, I think they were just fighting their own. They didn't know what world they were actually fighting in. But stuck to their guns, played really smart. At the end of the day, held true to his what got him here. It's Boatman. Boatman wins it.
Well, that means your winner is Kaleb Boatman. We're going to start by talking to the second place finisher, Kaleb Koho. Thank you for the cookies. Thank you for the Christmas card. But you didn't quite win this one. You're not going to go on to the title match. But it's okay. You own literally every other belt in this channel. So I think it's okay that you don't have this one. How are you feeling about this
I
loss?
needed the last one for my gauntlet, Tim. I needed to have them all and just snap. And then I could be free of this pain. Look, at the end of the day, Boatman was arguing for a movie that he clearly hadn't seen and somehow won. I think Nick was playing fucking VR. He wasn't listening to half the fights. Cody was probably watching the Yankees play the White Sox and cheering on his New York team. And Tim, you're the only one who cares, and that's why I sent you the Christmas card and the cookies. I thank you for trying to actually be an impartial judge. At the end of the day, it's always going to be against me because no one wants me to have all the belts, and that's really irritating. But you know what? I'll make it a triple threat, and it'll be better this next time.
Koho, I know you're upset, but the other belt that you don't have yet is actually the one that the man across from you has, the sports belt. I know that you're playing for that at Meatball 7. Are you excited for Meatball at the Multiplex?
Look, Meatball
Sports.
The Multiplex has always been my event. I've never lost a match at Meatball the Multiplex. Nick TWOHIG just screwed me out of my chance at winning Fanzone. I'm going to take it out on him, beat his ass in sports, just like my favorite team, the Green Bay Packers, would do. That fuck Nick TWOHIG. You don't know what a baseball looks like.
Bitch!
That is a football! That's a football!
All right, well, Koho, good job today. We'll see you in that sports match over at Meatball 7. We're going to bring in the winner today, Mr. Boatman. Boatman, you won the match. You're going on to play Eli McKegg for the title. How are you feeling about your job today?
Do you feel in charge?
Yeah.
Do you feel powerful?
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, that's nice to live in a world in which life goes well for you.
All right, we'll see you at Meatball 7, Boatman. That was rough. Cody, final thoughts on the match?
I'm in fucking pain. I hate to do this. I really do. It's come a long time. I'm announcing my retirement. I've been around this fucking multiverse. I've stayed in the normal world. I've lived here. I'm fucking done. And yes, I said it. I said retirement. Me and Nico just have bigger things on the horizon. We're actually debuting as a tag team in Full Metal Trivia. And that's now a wrestling promotion. There's actually no trivia. It's a kind of a misleading title, but 2 Tons of Fun is coming to we're up to win the tag belt. So
it's fair. Nick, final thoughts from you.
Final thoughts are, doesn't matter if it's this universe or another, Kaleb Koho can't do math. And if you bribe 1/3 of the judges, you are not going to win.
That's accurate. Thank you very much to the players and to the judges here. I want to thank everybody. This was a really, really great finals match. I'm looking forward to seeing Kaleb Boatman versus champion Eli McKegg at Meatball at the Multiplex 7. It's going to be a great one. Very much looking forward to it. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you really soon with the next match at Meatball. Bye.